we normally do is we have 10 people come down into the studio, and we don't usually have objects out on this table. We normally talk them through some of our objects with our sort of explanation board and explain about how they're made of gold and all being set with garnets, and that behind the garnets they all have these tiny little gold foils that sparkle behind them. So we go into like the construction of the pieces through these boards, and then what we'd normally do is we'd have usually up to 4 of us. There's 3 conservators that work on the hoard, and then we have internal placement. So there's always 3, but maybe 4 people, and we have objects out under the microscope, and the public generally come and sit with us at the microscope and have a look at the objects underneath the microscope, and we explain how we do our treatment and the different tools that we use. So if anyone's got any questions, you're welcome to ask. But these are some of the pieces we've got out today. We've 50 of the objects have been out on the Mercian Trail around Stafford, Victoria and Tamworth, and then come back here, and we're just checking them again because they're going to go out on loan to Washington. So at the moment we've had these out, so I've left them out for you to look at so you can see some of the range of the sizes. That's one of the biggest pieces in the hoard. Normally, I think the biggest piece is the folded cross, which is probably about the size of that box. So that's effectively one of the biggest pieces. And then you go down to, as a whole sort of object as we'd call it, that would be one of the smaller sizes. And obviously we have little bags that are just full of tiny gold rivets or silver rivets, or little fragments or loose garnets that are all being detached. So we do have some absolutely minute pieces. Just leave the objects out there and hand it to them. They get packed into an intermediate size box, and when they go to Washington, that goes down into the green tray, little crate. So there's lots of layers of packing and different layers of plastic between to try and take the shock absorbance out. This is where we do our conservation work. And at the end in the electric blue is, I don't know if I told you, my name's Deborah. That's Deborah over there as well. Hello. And this is Simon, who's on placement with us, and Simon's actually a blacksmith, and he's on a training programme, National Heritage Ironwork programme, and part of the blacksmithing programme is to do the placement in conservation studios, so that when they work on historic ironwork, they have a feel for what conservators maybe like to work with, what museum expectations are, and what the ethics are around conservation. Not that blacksmiths don't have ethics, but they work on a different form of ethics when they're working on...
We work on a slightly different
scale. Slightly bigger scale. So that's Simon's been learning sort of those skills, so that, you know, when he works on, like I say, a historic piece, it might be commissioned by a museum, and he's having to discuss it with a conservator, so instead of being freaked out by terribly fussy, you can't do this, you can't do that, why are you doing that kind of person, you're going, oh yes, I understand, you need to have it fully documented and photographed and trying to do this and that and the other. But effectively the scale does shift. You straight down into the gold, so the thorn allows for a little bit of leeway in people's enthusiasm and skill factor there. And then we also use a small amount of water and industrial methylated spirits, and mixed together separately. And we make tiny little swabs, and Simon had a mini swab earlier. Yeah, so we make our own little cocktail swabs up. And we just dab that onto the surface. So you're not soaking your swab, you're just sort of lightly dampening your swab, putting that on the surface, so you just get enough moisture just drawn to the top of the soil, and you can just start to move it again. Now gold's fairly inert material, it has got silver and copper in there, so adding the water or IMS is not necessarily a problem to the surface, but because we've got other materials potentially in there, like set garnets, which might be held in an organic paste, we don't want to get too much moisture in there in case that moves that paste around and then that causes the garlic to lift. So everything's done on a minimal level and a very sort of slow, painfully slow level and speed. But when you're working in the microscope, you think you're going at a fantastic speed, you see. So it's kind of like a strange world to live in, actually. So, but generally, I'd say
that whole microscope's width, and then you look and you realise it's actually.
Yeah. So probably on average, I'd say average out probably about 7 to 9 hours an object. Some will take 2 or 3 times that when it's totally encrusted in garnets. If it's a fairly simple flat piece of gold, it can be relatively quick. So, but if you wanted to go and have a look down one of the microscopes.
Set up specifically for teaching, though a lot of our teaching schools also of course takes place on the galleries because that's where our objects are. We also use this space for family activities and adult workshops. It's really well designed, it has good toilets and ramps and lifts, and everything is sort of purpose designed for learning really, all of our visitors. So nice space. You'll see a difference with the light.
We're archaeologists, and this is a Paleolithic hand axe, probably from southern England, though it could be from France. Again, it's an unprovenance one, which is why we can use it for handling. And this would have been made sometime between 400,000 and 250,000 years ago. So it's at least 250,000 years old, possibly getting on towards 500,000.
Egyptian rocks. This is Egyptian everyday life, so you've got things like a gaming piece, a wig bead, you've got some amulets, a necklace, you've got a slate palette for mixing it up, things like that. So they all link to the curriculum. Teachers tend to request specific subjects to be covered. As well, we send information packs for all the artefact boxes and they all link show make links to the curriculum. But a lot of teachers use them however they want. They have their own plans.
And one day in, I think it was 1982, Birmingham decided they'd had enough, so they just locked the doors and walked out. And so that was like a real time.
So what was that, sorry?
The museum, the jewel recorder.
Oh, sorry, the jewel recorder. Yeah.
And we've also got, there's a museum called Think Tank, which is Birmingham Science Museum, which is currently an independent charitable trust museum, but all their displays use our collections. They use the Birmingham Museum.
Are you responsible for for example, the training of the staff in the different museums?
Not at Think Tank, but
At the other ones?
we're all part of the same
So it's all-
organisation,
yeah.
yeah.
So what would the internal staff development look like, or staff training, or in-house training?
A lot of that is based on CPD, continuing professional development, where people are working towards things like the ANA and the FNA and so on. A lot of the training is, well, I suppose the training splits into 2 parts. There's the sort of professional museological training, which tends to be done by people work shadowing or going off to conference sections. And then there's the, if you like, the bureaucratic training, which tends to be a city council-wide thing. So this is council procedures, finance and HR management and stuff like that. So it tends to be a sort of two-pronged approach.
And there's plenty of staff training available, in the professional development area.
I don't think so,
No.
really, no.
It depends what it is. Where we can offer things in-house, there's opportunity. We don't currently have budgets to send people on.
We have
fancy
very little
courses.
funding, so unless it can fit into external qualifications. There is no vocational training.
If you were fintech, what sort of things would you be interested in?
It depends on individuals' needs. I mean, people at the start of their careers are wanting things like sort of second degree level courses, so they're wanting the museums to play the course and things like that. People who are further into the career, it's more attendance at academic seminars, professional conferences, things like that, where the main implication is travel and accommodation costs.
Sorry, there's an idea there.
We have many volunteers working in the museum, and we offer special programs to teach that.
We've always had volunteers on a fairly haphazard basis. Certain areas of the museum have a tradition of taking volunteers, such as the conservation department, and I think documentation.
Documentation in the curatorial section as well.
Yeah.
Then we have recently appointed a volunteer coordinator, and we're looking, as Julia said, volunteers in the past have been fairly haphazard. It's been sort of students, between university and finding a job, saying, we want to come and work as a volunteer to get experience for their CVs. And it's been down to individual staff members as to whether they take them on or not. We've now appointed this volunteer coordinator, and the idea is that we'll identify areas of work where we need more assistance.